A lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head. But when you lose your man.
Eva Baroni Combs, yes, it was breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell the Jew because I felt that you could, enjoy also having a black parent to take care of you and help you out.
Welcome back to StarHush, where the headlines don't just drip, they spill. And trust me, this one right here, it's about to shake the table. Terrence Howard just dropped a bomb, and now the internet is spinning with claims that Diddy might have been keeping tabs on his adopted daughter, Ava. Yep, you heard that right, and things are about to get way more intense than anyone expected. Now, we thought Terrence was finished with the whole Diddy situation after he made that jaw-dropping reveal on a podcast that Diddy allegedly tried to get a little too close for comfort. But it turns out that was just the surface of what Terrence might really know. Word on the street is the feds aren't sleeping on this either, because the latest update from the investigation is wild. Authorities have reportedly added 2 new charges to Diddy's already packed federal case. And guess what? They've also introduced new individuals not previously listed in the original indictment. And this is where it gets extra serious, because insiders are now whispering that Ava, Terrence's adopted daughter, is allegedly one of the newly named individuals connected to the case. And it doesn't stop there. Rumor has it she's expected to take the stand when this thing goes to trial. That's right. The same Ava Terrence's fans have seen him protect over the years might now be key to unraveling the whole Diddy case. If this is true, Terrence isn't just a witness. He could become one of the main figures helping bring the full truth to light. Let's rewind for a second, because the whole thing first took a turn when Terrence went public during that now viral podcast appearance. Everyone was already talking when he said Diddy allegedly tried to approach him in a personal way, hinting at some kind of intimate setup.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers coming to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back.
In that same jaw-dropping podcast convo, Terrence didn't hold back. He said flat out that he's not the only black man Diddy allegedly tried to pull something shady with. And what he described, it wasn't just uncomfortable, it was unsettling. According to Terrence, there's been a troubling pattern at these so-called freak-off gatherings that Diddy's known for. But Terrence made it clear, these weren't just wild industry parties. He painted them as something much more calculated. He said Diddy allegedly targets black men specifically, using those settings as a way to break them down emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. He described the vibe of these gatherings as setups, events where the goal wasn't celebration, but manipulation. Terrence suggested that what looks like a party on the outside could actually be a controlled environment designed to make people feel vulnerable and powerless. Without dropping any names, Terrence hinted that other men in the industry have gone through the same thing, but most chose to stay quiet. Why? Because of fear, embarrassment, or fear of losing everything they worked for. He said that silence was part of the design because the moment you speak up, you risk your career, your image, and your reputation. According to him, Diddy allegedly preys on these minute, personal moments when men are already off guard and uses them as part of a bigger pattern. It's not random, it's not new, and it's not just one story.
Those things. But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
Now, as expected, the internet lost it when Terrence Howard dropped those revelations on the podcast. But just when folks thought that was the end of it, nope. Things started getting even messier behind the scenes. It didn't take long before whispers started popping up online. Insiders and industry folks saying Terrence was actually holding something way bigger back. The rumor mill started spinning fast, with some saying that Terrence had more dirt on Diddy. Something so major, so explosive, that if it ever came out, it would break the internet for real. And then, Terrence poured a little more gas on the fire himself. He went on Twitter and posted a cryptic video, and while he didn't drop any names directly, the vibe was crystal clear. He said he was being pressured and threatened by people in high places, people with power, influence, and reach. And then he added one very specific hashtag, #mancard. That was all fans needed to connect the dots. That hashtag was the same phrase he used during the podcast when he talked about Diddy allegedly trying to take his man card, a metaphor for breaking a man down and challenging his self-worth or identity. So when he used that hashtag again online, yeah, we knew exactly what he was talking about.
And if you're going to speak against me, then use the same courage that it took for me to say those truths. Man to man, eye to eye, integrity and in truth. I've spent a lifetime earning the right to speak with the conviction about these truths that I speak. So if you want to tear that down, have the decency to come and say it directly to my face. And say it like a man. The conclusions. But we're going to do this respectfully, otherwise we'll end in a duel. And I mean a duel, real life duel, where only one person walks away.
Well, it looks like Terrence Howard is finally done holding back, because word on the street is he's starting to spill some serious tea. And this time the whispers are circling around someone unexpected. Diddy's adopted daughter, Ava Baroni. Fans have had questions for years about what really happened to Ava. Her story has always felt like a mystery, especially after she quietly faded from the public eye. And now, with Terrence hinting that there's more going on than people knew, it's got everyone talking again. Based on what Terrence is reportedly saying, the situation doesn't sound good at all. Some are speculating that Ava may be connected to the allegations surrounding Diddy, allegedly tied to something deeper than anyone first thought. Let's take it back to 2020. Right in the middle of the global pandemic, Diddy made a surprise announcement. Out of nowhere, he introduced a young white girl named Ava Baroni Combs as his adopted daughter. No major press release, no backstory. Just one day, she appeared on his Instagram Live, and just like that, she was presented as part of the Combs family. The moment was random, emotional, and very sudden. Diddy smiled proudly as he showed her off to fans online, and at the time, most people thought it was sweet. A lot of folks assumed he had simply stepped in to offer support during a tough time when many children needed love, security, and structure. It seemed like a noble move, the kind of gesture you'd expect people to applaud. And for a while, that's exactly what happened. Most gave him credit and moved on. But now, looking back through the lens of everything that surfaced about Diddy, especially with the legal investigations gaining traction, that same video doesn't hit the same. People are rewatching it with fresh eyes, and this time, it feels unsettling. The suddenness, the lack of explanation, the way she disappeared from the spotlight shortly after. It's raised questions, and with Terrence now allegedly connecting Ava to the situation, those questions are only getting louder.
My name's Ava. I'm a Scorpio.
No. What's your last name?
Ava.
What's your other last name?
Ava Baroni.
Ava Baroni Combs? Yes, it was breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell them the story about how I adopted you. But you still have beautiful parents but you're my child also. Please tell the story.
So, I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided that he would like to be a caring man. So then he saw me and decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids.
Like borderline suspect. I don't want nobody. You want to get it clear. I adopted you like Madonna adopted kids and everybody else adopted kids. Charlize Theron, everybody's ever adopted Sandra Bullock. I adopted you because I felt that you could, enjoy also having a black parent to take care of you and help you out. So, just clarify it because it's crazy out here online. So I played with the kids. I got permission from your mother. Say all of that. It's crazy out here.
I met Jesse and Lila when I was 6 months old.
6 months.
And then basically sisters, all 4 of us. So,
6 months.
I always come over.
Yes. And it's Ava Brioni Combs.
Let's go.
Honestly, that wasn't the only red flag. Things started feeling even more off when Diddy publicly compared his adoption of Ava to Madonna's. And let's be real, a comparison like that, it raised more than a few eyebrows. Because if you've followed pop culture even just a little, you know Madonna's adoptions have sparked serious controversy over the years. Multiple reports and sources have questioned whether every step of her adoption process followed proper legal channels. In fact, a few years back, the Ethiopian World Federation accused Madonna of misrepresenting her intentions, claiming she told families she was offering education opportunities, but instead adopted the children outright. So for Diddy to voluntarily compare his situation to Madonna's, that's bold, especially considering how much heat Madonna got. Fans couldn't help but wonder, why choose that example of all things? That move alone had people looking at the situation sideways. Then there was that now infamous video where Ava was introduced. On the surface, it looked like a sweet family moment. But when you really break it down, there were more questions than answers. What caught people's attention wasn't just Ava, it was the dynamic in the room. Viewers started asking, if Ava was connecting with the family, why were Diddy's sons the ones featured front and center? Especially if she had supposedly shown interest in playing with the younger daughters, Jesse and Delilah. So why were they barely present? And then comes the most talked about part, Ava's body language. She looked visibly tense. Her energy seemed off. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't relaxed. And for a video meant to introduce her as part of the family, it didn't sit right with a lot of people. Some chalked it up to nerves. Others said the vibe just didn't feel right. Things got even more complicated when fans started connecting the dots. Diddy's sons haven't exactly been drama-free. Justin Combs was named in the Lil Rod lawsuit, and Christian Combs has faced legal challenges of his own. So the idea of a young girl being brought into that environment, it had people side-eyeing everything harder. And the biggest red flag of all, Ava basically disappeared right after. Aside from a couple of very brief public moments, like that one appearance with Jesse and Delilah, Ava vanished from all public-facing parts of Diddy's life. No more videos, no photos, no birthday posts, nothing. And considering that Diddy had her calling him Papa Combs, people expected a more visible, consistent presence. Instead, silence. And now, with disturbing allegations surfacing about Diddy and his treatment of women, people have started asking, what really happened to Ava? Her sudden disappearance has sparked online speculation, turning what once looked like a heartwarming story into a question mark-filled mystery. And here's where the plot gets even messier, because Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, came forward with some heavy claims. According to Gene, the adoption wasn't what it seemed at all. He said it was less about love and more about strategy. Gene claims the entire move was a publicity stunt, allegedly crafted to help soften Diddy's image during the pandemic and earn public sympathy. According to him, once Diddy got the media attention he wanted, Ava was quietly pushed out of the spotlight, as if she had never really been part of the family to begin with. Gene painted a picture that made the whole situation feel calculated. He said, Diddy found a girl who needed help, brought her into his world, called it an adoption, and then used that to craft an image of himself as a caring father figure. But behind the scenes, Gene suggested it was all about appearances. While Gene didn't directly accuse Diddy of harming Ava, the way he told the story made people pause. He hinted that something darker may have gone down, and that people in the industry already know more than they're saying. Let's just say he didn't hold back, and what he shared, that tea was piping hot.
It's craziness, man. And you know what's so crazy is, bruh, that all these stories has been around the industry for a long time. All these industry people know that Diddy been acting like this and doing this and trying to engage. Yo, it's a lot of stories that goes around in this industry about not just him, other people. Jimmy Iovine. Ain't nobody talking about Jimmy Iovine. He got charges and everything on him, but he got those publicists that's keeping it out off of CNN, is keeping it off the major news reports. Nobody's talking about that. This is something that goes on, man, that they're gonna push up under the rug, and a few years later, Bad Boy 5, 6, 7, 8 will be out.
Sadly, Gene Deal might be right about one major thing. The entertainment industry has a long history of turning a blind eye when it comes to powerful men and their behavior. We've seen this same script play out over and over again, from R. Kelly to Harvey Weinstein to Bill Cosby, high-profile figures protected for years, while the people around them stayed silent, looked the other way, or even helped sweep things under the rug. And now people are asking, is Diddy just the latest name in that same pattern? Even in Cassie's lawsuit, she made it very clear. Diddy didn't act alone. She said he was surrounded by enablers, people who knew what was going on, but either chose to ignore it or actively helped cover things up. The inner circle wasn't just silent. They allegedly helped maintain the image and protect the brand. So when Gene Deal stepped forward and started dropping bombshells, it hit differently. His stories weren't just emotional, they were specific and disturbing. What really turned heads was when Gene hinted at something far darker. He claimed there might be video evidence tied to Ava. He didn't describe it in detail, but he said the content, if real, would raise serious red flags and potentially point to something criminal. Even more unsettling, Gene alleged that federal investigators are aware of the videos and may already be searching for them as part of the broader case.
You understand? It's gonna come to the forefront. Now, what they're looking for, because it was going on the premises of, they're looking for pictures of girls that may appear to be underage in a context. Like they in a act. That's what they're looking for. So now, they're gonna go through all those devices. If somebody got any kind of weird, that they got little kids or little girls or something like that, in any kind of pictures or any kind of photos that they took out of there.
And now it looks like 50 Cent has been sitting on some serious inside tea, because word is, he's known about a lot of this mess surrounding Diddy long before the public started catching on. And honestly, he's been dropping hints for years. At first, folks didn't take 50 seriously. People brushed off his posts and rants, chalking it up to old beef. Some thought he was just being petty, upset that Diddy didn't sign him back in the day when he was trying to break into the game. And to be fair, there might be a tiny bit of truth to that. We know 50 is the king of holding grudges. He's made a whole brand out of being petty and consistent about it. But just because he's petty doesn't mean he's wrong. 50's feud with Diddy never died down, especially since he's also been beefing for years with DJ Clue, who's tight with Diddy. So now that these allegations are coming out, people are starting to revisit all the stuff 50's been saying. And suddenly, it's not sounding so far-fetched. In fact, 50 recently posted something cryptic that had people talking. He said, "This is why they put that tape out. They know they can't charge him for what we saw, but they also know we can't unsee it." That line hit hard. According to one insider, 50 Cent allegedly has actual evidence, some of it tied to the Ava situation. Word is, he's planning to feature it in his upcoming documentary, and what he's sitting on might reveal even more than what the public's been told. Just for context, last year 50 announced a full documentary project focused on Diddy. The title, Diddy Do It. And in true 50 fashion, he added his usual tagline, GLG, Green Light Gang. Another one coming. He followed up with a post saying, "I thought Diddy was a billionaire music mogul. If he's smart, he'll file for bankruptcy. Anyone with real money knows why I'm saying this. I'm the best producer for the job. Here come the receipts." And while most people were still locked in on Diddy's other legal drama at the time, Ava's name barely came up. But all of that started to shift when Terrence Howard began dropping hints that he knew something about her. Right after Terrence's subtle warnings started picking up steam, the feds made a bold move. They updated the indictment against Diddy, adding 2 new anonymous individuals into the case. That update changed everything. According to the filing, the new charges allege that Diddy engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of misconduct, not just toward women, but toward other individuals as well. The official language stated, "At all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs, the defendant, engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of behavior, at times verbal, emotional, and physical." It went further, claiming Diddy allegedly used manipulation to pressure individuals into participating in orchestrated performances. Now here's where things get even more intense. The federal indictment goes deep, and what's in it has people stunned. The updated charges describe how Combs, and people allegedly working under his direction, would make arrangements for women and commercial workers to be flown out to wherever he was. And these weren't just casual meetups. The documents claim Combs would ensure their participation by using financial leverage, offering opportunities, covering rent, and dangling career advancement, but also by issuing subtle or direct threats. Investigators say this wasn't just about power, it was about control. The filing states that Combs and others wielded the power and prestige of his business empire to lure women into his orbit, often by disguising the interactions as romantic or professional opportunities. But behind those offers, the indictment alleges a darker reality, one where individuals were manipulated into situations they never agreed to, using intimidation, pressure, and influence. The court filing continues, stating that 3 unnamed women, referred to only as Female 1, Female 2, and Female 3, were allegedly forced or coerced into participating in commercial acts. These exchanges, according to the feds, were arranged by Combs and those in his inner circle. In return, the women were given things like financial compensation, housing, or career-related promises. It didn't stop there. Some of these commercial acts reportedly involved male participants as well. And according to the indictment, Combs allegedly referred to these events as freak-offs. The documents describe these freak-offs as elaborate setups, highly organized, directed, and at times electronically recorded. And here's what really shook people. Officials claimed that Combs, along with his associates, arranged for commercial workers to be transported across state lines and even internationally to participate in these orchestrated encounters. Yes, this thing had scale. The allegations go on to say that women were allegedly coerced into engaging in these setups, some of them involving other men, and that it wasn't something they agreed to on their own terms. According to investigators, Combs would then turn around and offer payment after the fact, essentially creating a paper trail to suggest the interaction was voluntary. But here's the catch. The woman didn't consent to the arrangement in the first place. According to the feds, she was pressured, coerced, and only accepted payment after the fact, likely out of confusion or fear. Why does that matter? because that's how legal manipulation works. The idea is to blur the line, make it look like someone agreed when in reality they were boxed in with no good way out. And by offering compensation later, Combs could allegedly turn around and say she was paid. It was mutual. It's a chilling tactic and one that investigators are taking seriously. And here's the scariest part of it all. This kind of setup doesn't just blur lines legally, it completely shifts how the public views the people involved. In the court of public opinion, victims can start to look complicit, like they went along with it, when in reality, they may have been trapped in a situation they never agreed to in the first place. The newly updated indictment broke it all down in detail. It said that from at least 2009 to 2018, in the Southern District of New York and beyond, Sean Combs knowingly recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and solicited by any means a person to engage in criminal acts, and that he willfully caused that behavior to happen. Specifically, it says Combs was aware that the individual involved was participating in commercial acts as a result of force, fraud, or coercion, and that he attempted, aided, abetted, and maintained this activity with reckless disregard for the consequences. Then the indictment jumps forward, 2021 to 2024, same district, same pattern. The documents say Combs again knowingly recruited, enticed, and solicited individuals with the understanding that threats, manipulation, or other coercive tactics would be used. And once again, they allege that he played a direct role in making it happen. 2 unnamed individuals are listed in that section, referred to only as Victim 1 and Victim 2. But here's where the speculation heats up. The streets are talking, and more than a few voices are saying that one of those new additions might be Ava. With all the recent attention around her story and Terrence Howard dropping subtle clues, people are wondering, did federal investigators dig deeper into her situation and decide to add her to the case? It wouldn't be shocking, especially considering how suddenly she vanished from public view and how much attention her name has gained again since the indictments were updated. Now look, none of this has been officially confirmed in court, but the timing, the whispers, and the legal language, it's all pointing towards something major. And one thing's for sure, this trial is going to be explosive. Even though it's been pushed back, it's coming soon. And if the charges, testimonies, and potential witnesses unfold the way they're expected to, the internet won't be ready. Until then, we gotta keep watching, because something tells me the wildest part of this saga hasn't even dropped yet. But now it's your turn. What do you think? Is Ava one of the names in that indictment? Is this the moment everything finally catches up to Diddy? Or are we still only scratching the surface? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Go off and don't hold back. And while you're at it, hit that like button, tap subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a drop from StarHush. We're digging deeper, exposing everything, and the next video, yeah, it's gonna blow this one wide open. See you next time, my stars and hushers.